Alrighty, so welcome to week 4 in what I like to call Intro to SQL. It is in the RL in the real world, in my world that I'm recording this in, is in week 3. And I have seen some really good work in this class, and I see some people still struggling with the proof of work file, which I'm going to go over again here, which is good because you're taking a skill acquisition course. You want to walk away from this course with a skill. In order to do that skill, or in order to demonstrate that skill, there are things I put in place to help give you guardrails to show that you're actually doing the work. Because writing SQL itself, there are so many things to help give you the answers to, or to just not help, just give you the answers. The world in which we live, these LLMs, these large language models, really are just itching to give you the right answer, and that makes it a bit more challenging to actually learn. So I'm trying to give these guidelines to do that, so that when you get to a technical interview, which you have for this class, because it's honestly the only way I know how to assess a skill-based course. That's why if you're taking my JavaScript class, you'll have a technical interview for both. More importantly, as we move into week 4, we're changing over to the problem set. So you've been coding along with Carter, right? And taking notes. And those notes are going to serve you well, right? That coding along experience, looking at those queries that you wrote, these will be things that will help you, right? But you really want to read the problem. You're going to have in this one problem set, there'll be 7 problems, meaning 7 queries, and actually it'll end up being 14 because I'll make you write one just to show the counts. But in this case, you're writing them, and I really would suggest to you, just like I would with the reviews, if you don't get it, give yourself a little time to actually try it again. And that's where the proof of effort file, and that's the new process for this week, the proof of effort. So what you're going to end up doing for this is you're going to, and I have it up here, here's the file. So like before, I put all the instructions in the attendance post. I decided, no, I'm going to pull them out because it's just too much. And this is the way you're used to seeing the instructions. So I walk you through what to do. So you need to read each step and attempt it. Do it, right? Because you're going to end up creating a new folder. Now I am going to show you this because this folder thing is important to me for a lot of different reasons, okay? So it's important that you follow the structure. So we're going to create a new folder at the same level of querying and get help, and it's called PS0, which is 0, it's problem set 0. And in computers, we start with 0, okay? It's an index thing. So in this case, you'll create that, and then you'll create another directory called cyber chase, because we're going to end up having, I think, two problem sets, at least 2 problem sets out of PS0. So that's why I organize them that way, okay? So I'm not going to walk you through the whole thing. That's the idea of what you're going to do. So we're still going to have you go through. You're going to copy the file in. You're going to create a README file. That README file in our code alongs, right? That README file was for our notes. Well, for the problem sets, that README file is where your proof of effort, our new process comes in, okay? So in this case, right, if I was, and I'm going to go to my code space over here, if I was to create, and I've created a new README file, the thing you're going to see that's different, again, you don't take notes. You end up doing, and I showed you here heading 1 and 2, because in the instruction I actually say use a heading 1 or use a heading 2. So in Markdown, it's 2 pound signs to do it for heading 2. So I'm just showing you, because you'll see me transition to this idea of just giving you what Markdown I want. But what you will end up doing here is backticks. 3 backticks, new line, 3 backticks. So in between here is going to be where you give me your proof of work. And what I will do in the solution video is give you more detail. But what I really want to see is when once you copy the file, I give you 2 queries you need to write. Okay, I'll give you the first one. The first one is pretty easy. It's basically show me everything in it. But then what you'll do is you actually show me what it took. How many attempts did you need to write that query? And again, in my solution file, I'll give you I'll put a bit more detail on it, and then I'll have you update a commit at the end. But just to show you, coming back over here, right? You're going to follow my directions. You're going to create a new query file because we're still using. And so in this case, right, you'll copy your P4 into a new one, right? Into one called A, which is attendance-Q. So we'll have a new one also when we start into the problem set. And I give you a new proof of work because we're still using that process. And then we change any of the references. So you read these in detail, and then you do a commit, right? And now we learn the proof of work process, right? We still start 2 sessions. You can see that in here I have 2 sessions running. I have my cyber chase here. I have my bash here, right? So I have that going. And I'm giving you the overview. I guess I am going over it at some level. And then you're going to give it, query 1, right? So here in there's heading 2. So if I was to do this step, I'd come over here. And in this case, I would do query 1, okay? So that's just the idea. I'm just trying to give you the visual before you jump in to do this. And then you'll do here. And so now what you want to do is you're going to write a query. So now in this case, we have a new table. We have a new database name. We have a new table name. So it's probably going to take you a couple of times to actually get that running. And how do you know you have the right reference, right? There's actually something called .table that you could run in your SQLite session to say, do I have access to that? And in this case, there's a table name, and the table name's episodes, which is different than long list. The long list database, the long list table name are the same. Now they're different. Again, you're going to show me, right? And you're going to try to get that to work. Make sure you have the right table reference. These are things that you'll end up being able to copy in here as to show me what you did. And you'll end up copying it from your SQLite, right? Let's just do this. I'm just going to clear this .shell clear, right? So whatever you try when you run it. So I'm just giving you the idea of what you're about to do, okay? And then read this carefully, right? Then write another query. So first get the query working, then write another query to do the count. So it counts the results because we now know how to do that. Because what do you want? You want 140 records with 7 columns. Well, in this case, 140 is all you have to count is the records. And then between backticks, copy the commands and the code you wrote in SQL to get the successful output, okay? And now do not include the output in here, right? So in this file, these are just what I want to see you did, right? Okay, because the output is actually going to go in your proof of work. So we have a proof of effort and we have a proof of work. So 2 different things, but they're still processes that we use, okay? All right, so now, and I give you a commit message, kind of like before, what percentage are you sure, right, that you got this right? Did you get the workflows, right? Because again, I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm just giving you because this is how we learn. We actually try to do it. Okay, so then you comment out with the queries that were written. There'll be 2 for the first one, 2 for the second one, because 1 to write the query that does it, and then 1 to count. Okay, and then you run, right? So then you run, comment out. There's your commit message, right? So make sure, so when you run make sure you run your proof of work. So once you get this all ready, do your proof of work, do your get workflows, and then commit. And then comment out the ones from query 1, and then start on query 2. Okay, so this repeats. I'm just giving you that heads up. So you got 2 queries you have to do for this time and include to the best of your ability. And by the way, again, try it here. And then watch my solution, regardless of what you watch the solution, because it actually gives you what I'm looking for when you go in. And I know you might be tempted to run over and watch that solution, but really try to resist at all points that idea. Because when somebody gives you something, you don't learn it as well as you trying and then somebody it's you. It's been true in my life again and again and again. I had to make the effort to see if I could do it. And then once somebody showed me, then I had a better chance of remembering and being able to translate that into skill. Okay, so that's what you're going to do for attendance, right? And then what you will do, right, is 40 points for working through that, 40 points for writing a post about this new process, any comments you have, but make sure you watch the solution. I did leave a mistake in at the end. Honestly, this one is much better than the one from last semester. I made several because this is the nature of it, but don't watch this until you try it. 20 points for the reply. Okay, so I'm gonna actually now, this is gonna be your attendance 4. So now I'm actually going to go and record a video for the problem set that I'll hopefully release soon. I'm actually in week 3 of the semester, so I'm trying to again make sure we're having content as people complete, and it would make sense. Anyway, have fun. And I look forward to seeing your output. Remember, you don't have to post anything except your reply. You don't have to post a URL. It's not like other things where you give me your commit history. That's different. I actually do talk about commit history and why it's important and why I want it the way I want it. All right, talk to you later.